All right, Charlie, I want to talk about these Kings rumors before we get
to
to Super Chats real quick. So we hear Seravalli the other day and gets people up in arms because, yeah, man, trade rumors, let's go. I mean, listen, there's a reason we get to this with 7 minutes left, but I described and named the show based on trade rumors.
Yeah, people love trade rumors.
This is good for everyone.
It is.
Fans love it. It drives content. It drives numbers.
Yeah.
It's the way it is.
We love it.
But listen, there's something there. Seravalli is an insider, and if there's one organization he has the finger on the pulse of, you got to believe it's this one. He was here a long time.
Yeah, he covered this team for multiple seasons.
So it's his quote. I don't think it's dead, but I do think the Kings talk to the Flyers about some of the forwards that they have. I don't think it's imminent, and I'm not saying Konechny. I don't think they're trading Konechny. No, I think there's a whole group of guys that teams have been calling about. Frost, Farabee, Scott Lawton, Bobby Brink. The one guy that they're not willing to entertain a conversation on is Tyson Foerster,
Makes
and
sense.
that goes with a lot of what they've said to you on and off the record about Tyson Foerster. Yeah. We think he was a steal where we drafted him, and he has top-line potential down the line.
And there's also the fact that there were those scattered rumors about him in the lead up to the Jiricek trade. This strikes me as the Flyers wanting to get the word out that, don't think we're trading him.
That's one of the guys who was mentioned for Columbus, and they're like, nah, so that makes sense. But when you hear, first of all, with the rumors, I think Jonesy said recently, yeah, we're going to do stuff at one point or another, but when we do, if and when we do, it'll probably be stuff that you didn't hear about because we're pretty good at keeping secrets.
Yeah.
That is a thing, so that's possible. But when you hear the Kings, one, we know the team has a relation. Dean Lombardi still works here,
Yeah,
there is a long-standing relationship between these organizations. They've made a bunch of trades. When you hear the Kings, there's two names that make sense to me. It's the two young centers,
right?
Quinton Byfield and Alex Turcotte. Quinton Byfield is the one we would want.
Yep.
Does it make sense for them to trade him?
I said this last year, and I will continue to hold to it. I know Byfield isn't having a very good year this year, which is probably why people are starting to dream on, maybe they'll give up on him. Look, the Flyers should absolutely be calling on Quinton Byfield.
Yeah, sure.
He is as close of an ideal fit for what they need as exists in the NHL today. He is a big, really quick, great skating center for his size with a ton of skill. Last year, his underlying numbers were fantastic. This year, he's taking a step back. He's not scoring as much. He's playing on their third line. His underlying numbers aren't awful, but they're more middle of the road. You think, okay, maybe we can try to buy low a little on this guy. Maybe they're getting frustrated with him. The Flyers should be asking about him. The Kings would be insane to trade him. That's where I'm at. Yeah, if the Flyers offer off Michkov, sure, but they would never do that. So to me, it's yes, they should be asking about Byfield. And hey, maybe organizations do stupid things once in a while. But I don't understand why they would trade him. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't think if you're keeping Michkov off the table, which of course the Flyers are, what kind of package could you put together that would even make them interested? I guess it would be headlined by Luchenko, probably.
I get that would maybe make sense, maybe Oliver Bonk, but they're talking about some of the forwards the Flyers have, at least in the Seravalli. What sense does it make to add one of these guys and subtract? And I assume there'd have to be maybe all four of those teams. If you're going to get a former second overall pick from just a few years ago, I don't think it makes sense for LA, but hey, we've been on the other side of a bunch of those trades. We have this organization. How many times have we talked about you don't want to be that team anymore? Maybe LA, for whatever reason, they're looking at listen, we only have Kopitar so much longer. Doughty, we expect him back. We only have him so much longer. We don't have time to wait for Byfield to be what we thought he was going to be when we drafted him second overall.
I just don't see it.
I just don't really see they're trying to win.
Yeah.
So
they're a good team this year.
Yeah, they're a good team. Yeah. So futures don't make sense for them. All the draft picks we have.
You would have to do some sort of mix of to me, it would have to be something like Luchenko plus two roster players that are, because then you could say, okay, well, not only are we maybe better this year, we also have a big future piece that we got for this former second overall pick. It's the only way it would make any sense to me. But does it, if you offer Joel Farabee and Bobby Brink and Luchenko, like that doesn't strike me as anywhere near enough.
No, it doesn't. Unless the rest of the league like looked at Luchenko and saw whatever the Flyers saw to be like, oh yes, he deserves to make this team. I can't see that being a great fit. And then if you do add Byfield and subtract Luchenko, while maybe Byfield has considerably more upside, you still have a center problem. Like you still very much have
you still need one more.
We still need another center.
Still need one more.
So
you could get another one.
Sure.
If you get Byfield and then you're like, okay, he's our 1C of the future, then you can get a 2C
especially
in this draft.
Drafting where you think they're going to be drafting this year and with all the picks they have, it would make sense. Before we wrap up today's show, I just want to thank our audience watching on TV. Very much appreciate all of you who do that. Head over to allphly.com for more of the show. And I don't believe we have any super chats. So the only thing left, listen, the Kings thing is out there. We've heard they were in on Jiricek.
Turcotte strikes me as more realistic.
Okay.
That said, he doesn't have nearly the ceiling that Byfield does.
And that could be where it's like, yeah, man, Frost and whatever, and maybe it's just two change of scenery guys.
And in fairness, the way that Seravalli presents this rumor is not the Flyers are looking to trade for the Kings players.
The Kings want some...
It's the Kings are looking at Flyers players to try to beef up their forward core. Now, obviously, the Flyers can take those talks and spin it in a direction they want to go.
Sure.
There's nothing stopping them from being like, oh, yeah, we'll give you Farabee, but you got to give us a piece we want too. And not just a draft pick, but like an actual piece. That's fair. But the way this is positioned is more maybe them being like, well, we'll give you a draft pick for Bobby Brink, or what would it cost to get Scott Lawton? Things like that.
That makes a lot more sense for them. Like, yeah, you're looking to add, not subtract. You have a really good team. So we'll see how that plays out. One more thing on trades. Is there a trade, or at least a trade partner, that you look around, you've just been thinking about, something that just kind of makes sense to you? Is there a team out there that you think, like, this makes sense to me? Even if it's not adding a guy for now, just a team that maybe one of the Flyers guys fits on, that they could be looking to take a Frost or a Farabee or whoever.
It's an interesting question. I mean, the one team that just jumps out at me the most, it goes back to something I said last season, where I think it was really last summer in the lead up to the active part of the summer. My point was, there are teams that look like they're about to do something stupid, and you want to be the team that they do that stupid thing with, because then you take advantage of them panicking. Buffalo just strikes me as a team in panic mode. Right? Like the Rangers are in panic mode too, but they're never going to make a deal with the Flyers, so you can kind of take them off the list. The Sabres, though, the names that they're throwing out there, like Dylan Cousins is very intriguing to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how available he really is, but he's been coming up enough that you think maybe you bowl them over with something.
That's the team I've been targeting. And listen, there's that 3 teams in the Atlantic that are just supposed to be taking a step, and they just don't.
It seems like Ottawa is playing pretty well.
Ottawa is like figuring it out.
Buffalo's the team where they're just spinning their wheels.
Ottawa is figuring it out. Allmark's been a lot better, and that was a big problem for them last year. The goaltending, they're kind of coming around a bit. Then you look at Detroit, and it's like, well, what the hell's going on there? And Buffalo is a freaking mess. Yeah. And based on their ownership not being very good, like, maybe that's the team. Like Kevin Adams, maybe he's going to do something dumb to keep his job. Yeah. Who knows? I could see that happening. The thing that just keeps making sense to me, it's Risto to Vancouver.
Ooh, okay.
I just look at Vancouver.
Okay.
And
I can see it.
They traded for Zadorov last season. They did it early.
Yeah,
and it feels like ever since he left, they've been looking to fill that, whatever that thing is that he brought them.
Fair.
And who's available? That's just like him.
It's Risto.
Yeah, a big old dude who throws a bunch of hits.
Yep.
And listen, the puck moving, he's never going to be a superstar, but it's been better this year. He's got a little bit of point production, maybe a little more confidence. You get him to a team with that sort of skill, and perhaps you can see a little bit more of that puck-moving ability that people thought Risto might have early in his career. So I just think that's the place that really makes sense for him. We'll see how it works out.
The 3 teams that I've heard come up the most, and not even in terms of rumors, just in terms of people theorizing, it's for Ristolainen, I mean. Vancouver, Edmonton, Dallas.
Dallas.
Those are the three.
I heard, like, when I first heard what Edmonton was looking for, it was like they need a right-handed defenseman. And then I think their coach was just like, I don't care what hand he is. We need a puck mover. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, that might not be him. But you're always looking for size headed into the playoffs.
Exactly.
And Dallas, that's kind of a thing they're looking for.
They traded for Tanev last year.
They're a team that went after one of the Tanevs.
Yeah.
And worked out for them, at least in the short term. Now they maybe need that again. It's always something teams are looking for. We'll see.
We all silly like the mayor.